Papa Zambuji Menam Gikorla, Tene Maram Kanshishi, Javakaji Pasu, Dejan Shuins.
I will explain about the prayer of good conduct, Bhadracharya Pranidhana prayer, as much as I know, and I refer to few of the commentaries.
Today, the relation to the Jabajavia, Shoroka relation to Jabajab, the Jabshasa Maritine, the Moji installing.
So, first, there's no time to explain the verses, each and every verse, or there's not even a need to do that.
The Congress and Anjutalenta, the Manam Hansa, Dungio, the Indukana, the name Manam Danyaki Kapsu, the Nasamotese, Tangshea, Chedu, mixed to Migu Techene, the name Maram Kanshabati Shui.
So the reason is that since we are doing the aspiration prayer, the prayer of good conduct here, so this is just to facilitate the motivation and the kind of intention you can generate while reciting the prayer.
Tene Papa Zambuchi Vimanam Tatangaras Dayati so Tekba Chimbugi Ndo Palbochi Ndo Seneta Kanjunala Ndo Cheshu Kitrechik res Dinane Dine Koluchumaji res.
This Bhadracharya Pranidhana prayer, or the prayer of conduct, is taken from one of the vastest sutra in the words of the Buddha, the Kanjur, called the Avatamsaka Sutra.
Tene te mixegi Manzuta Palbuchik Doni Junga Yimbiki Court, the mixegi Chena, tene Pantoyo arrest.
So if you can specifically know that this prayer has been taken or extracted from the Avatamsaka Sutra, there is a great benefit.
Tene Chitang Dodegi Nala Rik Mada Wadinde Yore, Pena Cherab Jabuina, Yang Goa Lentang Kahayore, Teganashi, Tene Tata Doji Chebadabutang, Tene Cherab New Yang Koran Goa Lentang Rabut, Kakayore, Tenashi, Tene Tata Do Palbachiki, the Yang Samla Tang Tang Rabut Masona Pe, Kahayore.
So each sutra has a different subject or different way to understand the meaning of the sutra. For instance, the Jatakamala Sutra has different meaning, and the Vajrachatika Sutra has a different meaning. Likewise, the Avasamtaka Sutra has also carries a different meaning.
Tene Pena Tata Katamba Dembashi, Chunkur Rabuchi, the Denjik daughter of Kolkashabaina, Tene Sungsatiang, Tene Yul Varanasi, Tangsong Hua, Ridak, Gassal, second about in the Mus, Madame Sata Tonga in the Yuat, Dosat in the Yuat.
For instance, the Sutra of the Four Noble Truths. So we can even see the place, we can even visit the place where this sutra has been taught in Varanasi at Deer Park in Sanat.
Tene Chun Yang Kenyang, Tumong Gitar to Keshabaina, Chun Yang Kenyang, Then Korunga de Zambo, second of Pena, Kodina, second of the Langba, second of so Shakjagi music, that in Sangha which Paje, Chashana Pena, Ubili, the music, the studies.
So the disciples who received the teachings or listened to the teachings were people from the Shakya clan in Uttar Pradesh, like Kodinaya, the 5 fortunate disciples. At a glance, it looks like that a person is talking to another person or a group of other people. So, for the Avatamsaka Sutra, the place where Buddha taught this sutra is cannot be imagined in our mind. So it's unimaginable.
Sungmi Wangdo Ni Andarang Nia the Sungi do some Drabuki Charjana Yang Sashenda Zambuling Maimbi Sashenda and the Sung Devanajia Yoris. So
even if we consider that this particular sutta is being taught at this very moment in a place like Shravasti, simultaneously, it also seems like this sutra is being taught in another place beyond this Jambudvipa continent.
Tene sungsagi yul loma teyang tene miyang yosare ngaransunaji mitinde yosarete tati nandala tene mim mayimba jiza segendadang hladang hlamayindang tene cheka mire de watabu cheka drill re de kentabu tende samla nandala ba shong matsuba tende tene chönyen kenyang sambatang khagarishas.
So even the disciples who receive these teachings are mixed that we cannot possibly imagine in our mind. Not just the human disciples or the human recipients, there are also non-human recipients such as gods, asuras, gandharvas, and serpents, and so on.
Perna, dode palbochigi, kapsu, chue nyenkengi, kor changba la samla tangjava inayang, sanje segende hachangi, tene lapochi imbe, manzo hako goyadabuji yores.
So in the Avatamsaka Sutra, so if we think about the Buddha who give this discourse or the teachings, the Buddha is unlike the other sutras. The Buddha is quite majestic and inconceivable in this context.
Perna tingsang tata manzo dachili chajaba ina, manzo mi nang ta chajaba ina. Then Cheshenken, that Lama to good Camber Tende, Jegi, Mikashe, Maras Berig, the Gashe Sheva, Gashe Patu, Gashe Sheva, the young, Till Lama Trugu Camber, Suina, Tegi, Berig, Samchi Maimba, Jagartang, Janatang, Tene, Ngosertang, Tende, young music Mandavala, Gashe Shenken. For
instance, today in this world, if there is a teacher like a Lama or Tuku or the Kempo who can teach not just one particular race of people or the disciples, not just the Tibetans, for instance, a Kempo or the Tuku who can teach the Tibetans, at the same time also teach in the Indians or Chinese or the Westerners, then this person or the teacher is considered great. So it is very difficult for a teacher to have that kind of quality. For instance, including me, there are so many Khenpos here. If we are asked to teach the Heart Sutra, Prajnaparamita Sridhar, to a 5-year-old child, we cannot do it. We can't communicate with the child or the children. So we can only give reading transmissions. Otherwise, we can't communicate the meaning.
Zume, drame, dreame, segenji, pugu longa chegenji la sheyang she, pugu longa chegenji pe telia pe nyembo shibut sor. Tati ngone yasin chimbo dusne dung sheba nangshin chen telepa nyendo yobatin nganzo ke ten zotugi meres.
So we cannot teach to a 5-year-old child the contents of the Prajnaparamita Sridhar, the Heart Sutra, such as no ear, no nose, and so on, in a way that the recipient or the audience, the 5-year-old child, can really enjoy hearing this teaching, such as just like hearing a beautiful story.
Tene Jung tende kale khabo tende mang chewal shedu kana tene pe nyokto rabu cha gojut shira methengi tende redogres.
So in many cases, when we teach the difficult subjects like philosophical texts, people often feel that they cannot understand, and they feel over time they feel bored to listen to such teachings.
Tene sanjegi ta tadan dode palpachi nangji na sanjegi chue sungsate 장춥 semba sala sa chembola nebegi 장춥 semba lam pa tangbo solam chungulya shuk tsegengi lamjugi kanza ta tangbo ya ngochung hendere de mayimbi tene nojin dang drubum dang dizza dang ta tende samji michaba yosares.
So the audience for this particular sutta, when Buddha taught this sutra, there were different kinds of audience, like the bodhisattvas in the higher bhumis, the bodhisattva bhumis, and bodhisattvas, the initiate bodhisattvas, then non-human disciples such as gods, asuras, demons, and so on.
Te Hindu gana tene manju ta tadande sangje manam ko kolya chenyen chedu nanga cheshu chigla tene samji michabi ne samji michabi ki kechatela lamsang korang tene gagwajab te khansa nyendre meba tene mayimba samji michabi ki ne tela te tichik katse hina tonang leptubya de kechimbo shirares.
So when we recite this Pranidhanaraja prayer, or the prayer of conduct, so we need to be able to digest this inconceivability of the inconceivable meaning, and then the inconceivable place, and then the inconceivable field.
Tinde majena tene tata manam gochu du ina pena jinghe suda chuju jitena selma gochu yundi kana ta danda yebi ki sanjela cha cheya da ta namchar dogi yebi wandu tang devi ki sanjela ta ten jene devi sanjela tene cha cheya ta sembal shongi yein mena te ta shongi wandu tang sanje tata tsani mafebi maumbi sanjela tata ni cha cheya kechadende shegoro deso namchar do tugizes deso samatang shena.
So if we can, if we think about the inconceivability, then when we begin to recite this prayer, that I prostrate or make offerings to the infinite Buddhas in the infinite purams. So not only the Buddhas of the present, the Buddhas of the present we can conceive and we can think about, that can fit into our mind stream, but even the Buddhas of the past and the present, the infinite Buddhas of the past and the present in the infinite realms, can fit into our mind stream when we recite the prayer. If we try to understand this inconceivability that is explained in the Avatamsaka Sutra.
Tene Digvashaya ki kapsu yang tene Devi Digvashaya that yes Shaya that is not shaggy. Tandarang Sarjabi Digvatamja Shaya Samran Shongi Yena Chishi. The Maumba Tata San Digvas Matsarvatamja Tatan Shaya in the Zoya Kashat in the Yor. This one Namjon Dotuba Chaguris.
So there are points in the prayer that not only we confess the negative actions committed in the past and also the present, but even the future negative action that has not really been committed, that can also, that point can, that idea or the concept can also fit into our mind.
Then Dulten Chigi Tengla, Dulheg Sanjak Shingham Yore singing that in the Ketcham Mango Yore Sanjak Nala. Did Yabik Jim Sendi, Tagin Kondishubanaji, then the Palching in Donane, Dayores, the Palching in Dodi, there's some of Tangtang Kayores. So in the prayer, there are instances that in one single atom, there are the atoms that exist in the whole universe, the infinite atoms. So these are all taken from the Avatamsaka Sutras. That's why I'm mentioning this sutra. Tene cho second dang, du second but this danda manzo samma tang tang de pe chung chung yore. So the time and the direction at this moment, how we think, our thinking or our concept of direction and time is very limited at the moment. So at the moment, everybody thinks that it is getting dark. Tene chidang shimidabutisol sarugi yaina karime hakogema korant koran samnotang tang yoris. The animals such as cats and dogs, they don't know whether it is getting dark or not, so they have different way of thinking. Tene pena sangi manjuta bijun the mandava sangi chuse tupole show sene tata gekyo dajabdi kana da maung big samnotian da de dajing mato yamare. So at the moment, even the thought of the future that we have, vaguely we have that the thought of the future, the concept of the future, when the disciplinary announces that unlike the usual timing that tomorrow people should gather here at 6 a.m. in the morning. Tene cho secondary nima shasadi shar secondary nima nupsadi nup secondary tende kesamlo jachung chung jingmata yoamare. So even the direction we have very limited understanding or the perception that the sun rises in the east and it goes in the west. Tene chechung secondary yang jika 다다당 알아서 빼나 체 최종 장주 신기 체 최종 내가 잠직 디 삼라마도 다다다 요 말은 거죠. Even the concept of size like big small, that is also very limited. 대인도 팔부치긴 돈하나 숭박이 체당 초당 두세드서 오늘 삼비기 라왈리 데바든데 요아데스. So the size and the direction and the time explained in the Avatamsaka Sutra is beyond measure, beyond our imagination. Tene yang chochingnen diso sambi rawalin debateso daga se dung sheba na sheba ya margos. So it is not a mythological story. This inconceivable time and direction that's explained in the Avatamsaka Sutra. Garesena so 초, 뒤, 체충, 생각해서 탐, 록 들었다 잡아랬어. 록 들었다고 임바디 하거나, 때문에 체충, 장엔, 링통, 생각해서 뒤속이 짐바, 담증증 데 매바 차로 그랬어. In fact, the limitations of the time, direction, and size
these are all fabricated by our conceptual minds. So if we understand that these are just the creation of our mind, the fabrication of our mind, then our clinging to the size, time, size, this will fall apart.
Tene pachin do de ngone jachimbo shidare. Tene parbochi do jachimbo din nangle yang dongbok bin dosen yang korang yang do de parbochi yang champachik dongbok bin do sengchik yores.
So the Avatamsaka Sutra is really a vast sutra. So within that there is the Gandhabhyuha Sutra, the stem array sutra.
Tene dongbok bin do korang yang jachimbo shidare.
And again, the Gandhabhyuha Sutra, the stem array sutra itself is a vast subject.
Tene dongbok bin do di tene shintu ngotsarwagi tamju mangbo yor di nama.
There's so many wonderful stories in the Gandhabhyuha Sutra.
Tene so ta jenu norzang sarako bevekela sudana sigiri tati jenu norzang ti papa jambe yang jalu.
So there's a story about, mainly there's a story about the young bodhisattva called Sudana encountering bodhisattva Manjushri.
Papa jambe yang ki kumdene chanju chodu semche.
In the presence of Manjushri, he takes the bodhisattva vow, or he generates the bodhicitta.
Tene papa jambari yang ki kumdene pe masigi lobjong che thosam gomsum nang.
So in the presence of Manjushri, he studies, contemplates and meditates.
Tene papa jambe yang ki ta churang dine pandrone kajik yul deva chigla chanju semban didan dinra bochig yore te churang lama tengo resene di kumdene tang.
And then Manjushri sends the Sudana to a particular place, and he also gives a direction to find the teacher, the bodhisattva, and he should take that bodhisattva as a teacher.
Tene jenu norzang pe masigi kawa mambo cheni yultena pep.
And with the extreme hardships and difficulties, the young bodhisattva Sudana goes to that particular place and encounters or meet the bodhisattva. And from that bodhisattva, the Sudana receives teachings and practice them.
Yang Changshu Samba Tegi, Yang Kaji Lunga Nitan Dilechiki Nanda, Changshu Samba Ditan Dita Jugi, the Ikum Church songs on Yang Jenu Norzanga.
And that again, that bodhisattva sends Sudana to another place to find a different bodhisattva.
Ota Tindre Chenet Peche, that Changshu Jenu Norzang, Lamang Abjung Nasum Tembiki Kor. So
in the Gandhabhyuha Sutra, there is a story of Sudana going to 53 different kinds of bodhisattva teachers.
Tene ti lama tisogi soptatang lama tsogi karisegure chale nangtang tisoya ngone samji mishabatinde yoris.
And the outlook or the presence of these teachers and the way they do things are inconceivable, it's unimaginable in our mind.
Lama peche nishu lhazene pumore.
So more than 20 of his teachers are females.
Tene lama kashene rabdu chungwa tende tangsong tende res.
Now some of his teachers are ordained like monks and rishis.
So
some of his teachers are merchants, quite powerful. And one of the teachers is an 8-year-old child.
tellateni chanchu semba kundu zambo lama kundu zambo da jalwares.
So having received the teachings from 53 teachers, the last teacher from whom Sudana received teachings is Bodhisattva Samantabhadra.
Ta chanchu semba kundu zambo ki tene chanchu ki sembi ki che nyamsu lentang ki kolya lentang te da zo melam ki tengne nangi yoba yinsang da te kongi te da tami tama da liu tama di da da kansa dongboke liu tama di dire paba zambo chebe melam ji jebo.
Since Samantabhadra practices the Bodhisattva actions in the manner of aspirations, so this Pranitanaraja prayer, the prayer of prayer of good conduct, is the last section of the sutra, the Gandharva Sutra. It seems that it's very important to make aspiration.
Berg Gambati's Nandala, Sherab Glas, Sherab Glas, Papa Genesis, Kundat in the Yore, Ningja Gitla, Papa Genesis, Manchu Yore.
So in Tibet, there are instances where Avalokiteshvara, basically the deity of compassion, is practiced as the wisdom deity.
Menam Dubigi, Janju Samba Sagor Tata, Kundu Samba Shida Jaya Yomarda.
So in Tibet, you don't find much of Samantabhadra, the deity to accomplish aspiration. However, in Tibet, it is almost impossible to find a person who does not recite the prayer of good conduct.
So the
Samantabhadra is quite popular in China. So there is also instances of practicing Samantabhadra in places like Thailand and Laos. I'm sure most of you know this difference. So the Samantabhadra in this prayer and the primordial Buddha Samantabhadra in the Nyingma teachings, they are slightly different. So as I mentioned just now, it's very important to make aspiration. So the reason is that among the practices we do, the thing that we can actually accomplish and actualize is aspiration. The best one can do is to meditate on the wisdom of no self, but at the very outset, it is difficult even to intellectually understand this. We might be able to meditate or contemplate on compassion, loving kindness, and bodhicitta for a small fraction of time, but it is very difficult to do it consistently and continuously. Likewise, it is very difficult to have such values or the qualities such as renunciation and devotion and confidence in the three jewels, teachers, and so on.
대치당 건축스는 대바 제고야 임바다 대속이 대sol라 되는 것이 유 건축스는 생긴 문에 자침버 레두 산에 삼생행 연나양 대바 준 착과 전에 가르세고레 대야 깔래 가버렸어.
Even if a person could recognize the triple gem or the three jewels and have confidence in the three jewels, it is very difficult to continue with that kind of confidence.
대내 다긴 슈바는 다 삼지 찹이야기 배나 연된 다 대바 세근도당 대내 직가 닝제 세근도당 잠바 세근도 대소에 깔래 가보이나 삼지 미차비기 연된 대소도 삼나나 코리안 미시바인데 대내 배 냠술내야 깔래 가버렸어.
If it is difficult to have or nurture conceivable qualities such as devotion, compassion, loving kindness, it is very difficult. It would be very difficult to have that inconceivable qualities in our mind.
대인도 다 대바 째버쇼, 민중 째버쇼, 대내 장샘 째버쇼, 이체 째버쇼서는 면남 잡아야 돼. 당먼저 다티서 두고요.
So the thing we can do is that we can make aspiration that may devotion arises in my mind stream, may compassion arises in my mind stream, so may confidence arises in my mind stream. That we can do.
대례장 화세 샘친 탐지 상적이 고방 토비야 세겐도당 동익이 되네 된 학과야 생도 됐어요다 말람 존나 되겨.
So moreover, we can through aspiration we can do that we can realize emptiness and so on.
되네 말람 생도 저다 된도 녀 말라 된대지 고기도 된대지 레버 쇼 삼삼삼여 슬라삼마 땅땅데 된대 인도 된대 전에 된도 녀 대바 이나 디기 된다야 누가 이승게 깔래 랑싱기 잡도 그랬어.
So if you wish and if you have interest that to accomplish something, then automatically you can also persevere in order to accomplish that aspiration.
직제. 근데 말람 대양 두비야 예바 말람지 잡거렸어.
So the aspiration you make is you need to aspire for things that is achievable, that can be accomplished.
근데 단 두비야 예바 말람 대 삼진 탐지 상제기 고방 토비야 때딱 해지 이 하즈 두비야 예바 말람 대마도 요마.
So the aspiration that one can accomplish is the aspiration that all beings attain enlightenment. So basically this is the only aspiration that can be achieved.
맨날 새 링벌 레버쇼 선배만은 아직 자고레레 다와레레 한에는 로카시지야 링르 저기나 요하리 마도 딱 베리 시야 메긴데 두야네.
So for instance, the aspiration for long life, maybe your life can be extended by one day, a month, or a few years, but you cannot become deathless.
대가나지 유튜브 차야 쓰긴다다 내 매바 차야 쓰긴데서 베데 두야 깔래 가보시다.
So it is also very difficult to completely actualize the aspiration to become wealthy and to not have sickness. Maybe to a very small extent one can actualize it, but to actualize completely it's very difficult.
근데 두야 예배게 dum malam jab malam duya yebate tatangi shibanaji nangi tatani bisimje thamje sanje ki kohang thokriya te duya yebi jumsente habesana tene semjen tham jegi rangjin di ji devarship ingbe yimbe ki jumsenchi dera.
So the aspiration that can be accomplished and achievable is the aspiration that all beings attain imaginary. The reason is that all beings are by nature Buddhas. They have the Buddha nature, Tathagata.
Tenime kitam shagam sordu sedinya neneba zambuling shideyongya jivoyongya devoyongya de jana digiris madigo yong.
And in the process, as a side effect, you can also aspire to have long life, be wealthy, world peace, and so on. That you can do it. So that's why it's important to make aspiration.